Okay, happy Tuesday. Today we had our first quiz. I hope that you felt okay about that. So you need to kind of analyze, like, how do I think I did there? Did I feel comfortable? If not, if I did feel comfortable, then I would say keep doing what you're doing. If you did not, and you're like, ooh, I need to really do something different, then you might need to, pay a little bit more attention and watch these videos a little slower so that you won't be so confused. And then make sure you're asking questions in class. So let's go ahead and get to our 1.3 lesson. Today we're going to be talking about multi-step equations. So we've talked about one-step equations, two-step equations, and now we're going to talk about multi-step equations. Now, what we're doing here is we're still just solving for x. We want to get the x by itself. That's always our goal. So we have to make some things happen before we can do that. You can't just take the x out and then add or multiply all the numbers together. So just like we have done before, the last two steps are the same. Okay? The thing we're changing is step number 1. So now we have to look at the whole problem, the whole equation, and decide if we see some parentheses, okay, that means there's distribution that needs to happen. And what that basically is multiplication. You have to do this first, okay? So I want you to look, you like my little eyes? Look for, okay, first, parentheses. And then the next thing you need to look for is combining like terms. So that's what we've been doing. We had that one lesson over that, and it was on our quiz. Members of the same family. Remember, they had the same last name. Okay? All right, so let me show you what that means. First, I want to teach you what this distributive property is. It has this word distribute in it because what you're going to be doing is this happens anytime you see parentheses. Only parentheses is when you distribute, okay? So right here, what you're doing when you see these parentheses is you're multiplying, just like it says here, you're multiplying the 2 into everything inside these parentheses. So the 2 would be 2 times x equals 2x, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So now this changes to this, okay? So you just multiply everything that's by the number that's outside of the parentheses. So 2 times x, 2 times 3, all right, and you keep that plus there, and then equals 14. So what we just did here is we multiplied that number in front by everything, and we just created a new equation. This is your new equation. So now we're going to solve that, okay? So just like we normally would, we want to get the x by itself. So we see there's a plus 6 here. We're going to take that 6 away. So that zeroes out this side. And then over here we're left with 8. 14 minus 6. And on this side we're just left with the 2x. Okay? 2x equals 8. So now we're going to divide by 2 to get that x by itself. And now we're left with x equals 4. Alright, so that's how you do this. So let's do number 1. We're going to we see parentheses here. we're going to multiply this number times everything inside the parentheses. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3, okay, plus, and then 3 times 4 is what? 12. And the rest of it stays the same. Everything on the other side of the equal sign is the same. So you get 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 4 is 12, equals 21. Now we're going to solve for x. Okay? So we're going to take care of that 12 first by subtracting 12 from both sides. And we get a 9. 3x equals 9. And we're going to divide by 3. And we get x equals 3. All right, let's do this one. We have parentheses here. So we're going to distribute this 2 into everything inside the parentheses. Okay? But this time we have a negative sign, a minus. So we got to make sure we don't pull a plus in there. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times a negative 4, or minus 4, is a negative 8. Okay? Equals 0. We just did the same thing as we did up here. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And now we're going to solve. So we have to add 8 to each side to move this, to zero that out. When we do that, we get 2x equals 8. So we're going to divide by 2, and we get x equals 4. All right, let's do number 3. I want to do number 3 because this number up in front of the parentheses is called a coefficient. That coefficient is negative. So let's see how that works with our new step here. We see some parentheses, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply that negative 3 times x, and we get negative 3x. And negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Equals 15. All right, so let's solve for this. Now we need to get the negative 3 cleared out over here. So we're going to add 3. That's going to zero this out. And that gives us 18 on this side. And this is negative 3x still the same. Okay. So let's divide by negative 3 on both sides to get that x by itself. And you get a negative 6. Okay, so let's jump down to the bottom on number 7. What if you don't see a parentheses, but you still have some like terms? Like here, we need to look and make sure we have some like terms. We have 2 members of the x family. So we need to combine those first before we solve this equation. So a 9x, a minus a 6. I'm going to write a note here for us. Okay. 9x minus 6x will leave us with a 3x. Okay. And then plus 15 equals negative 12. We're going to keep everything else the same. So now we just solve like normal. We want to zero out the 15 by subtracting 15 from both sides. And then over here, this gives us a negative 27. So when we divide that 3 off to get the x by itself, we get a negative 9. All right. Let's do this one first, right quick. Okay, so I see parentheses, so I'm going to distribute first. So I'm going to do 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times a negative x is a negative 2x. And we keep the rest of it like it is. But we can't solve this yet because, look, we have some like terms. We have 2 members of just the regular number family. The 2 guys with no last name, right? 2 plus 3 is 5, minus 2x equals negative 8. All right, and now we have an equation that we can solve. We want to get this 5 by itself. We want to get this 5 off of this negative 2x first by subtracting 5 from both sides. That zeroes that out. We're left with a negative 2x equals negative 13. And then we're going to say divide by negative 2 on both sides. And it's okay for us to get a fraction over here. These negatives, when we divide, 13 divided by a negative divided by a negative is going to give us a positive. So you can leave it in this form, or you can solve it into a decimal, and that's going to give us 6.5. Okay? That is your answer. All right. So now we've done a few questions, a few problems. Tomorrow in class, we're going to look at the back on number 11 and number 13 for a warm-up. Okay? So make sure you get these notes. If you need to go back and watch this again to make sure you understand, I need you to do that because I do not want you to be lost tomorrow. Other than that, have a good night.